Hello, I'm Jamie Younger, and this is If You Knew Me, a podcast about the inner lives of women. Every week, we walk into the heart and mind of one woman. Each guest can choose to share her real name or stay anonymous. This week, we hear from Megan. That's her pseudonym. Megan has been using weed in various forms since high school. She's a self-identified stoner. She's been using pot regularly, and it mostly feels fine for her, except when it doesn't. It's complicated. Her story is entitled A Busy Brain.
My good friends know, and even some people who are not my good friends, but it's something that I haven't written about because I think, honestly, part of it is that the culture around pot use is still like, I don't know, I don't want to be known as a pothead. And it is legal in my state. So that's freed me up to at least allude to it a couple times. Like taking gummies, I think, is like the most sort of like socially acceptable way for moms to get stoned right now. But I mean, you can do whatever you want. But that's been a part of my life since high school, off and on. And that's not been something I talk a lot about. I've always been someone who gets really sort of stuck on a substance for comfort or as a way to sort of just get through the day. And so it used to be food. Then I ended up stopping drinking during the pandemic because that was sort of taking over. But pot's always been there. I have a very busy mind. So originally I liked how it kind of makes you resort your mind and also make simple things more pleasurable, like music or food, or a walk outside, time with your kids. Well, I've come to realize, I used to beat myself up a lot about how much I do end up using it. But I know that it is extremely addictive and hard to kick. I've done enough research isn't the right word, but I've read enough about substance use, drugs, addiction, things like that. So at least I'm it's not necessarily a moral failure. I have a life where I don't have to operate heavy machinery or do surgery, but it makes me very productive. I can exercise on it. I do work on it. It's not necessarily a dark secret, except for the fact that I just sometimes will end up using a lot of it, or I don't know. I just go through this dance of wondering what's wrong with it, if anything's wrong with it. But if I overuse it, eventually I do become depressed, and then I start getting mad at myself about why did I opt into something that makes me feel that way? When I feel like I'm overusing it, or I've sort of, the shine is off because I'll use it so much, it's sort of by the end of the day, I feel maybe more tired than anything else, worn down. I'll be sort of withdrawn from my family a little bit. And then I'll be that's not great if this thing that you were using to relax with your family is ultimately making you want to just go lay in bed or, go and listen to a podcast and not talk to people. I was at a mom's hangout, a tiny one last week, and a dad had given me a joint. He's just that kind of guy. We just had that kind of friendship. And I smoked it with my mom friends, and I asked where we should go, and she just said our living room. So it's not a secret dark thing or anything like that. So I do prefer, it's more fun with friends, but I am not often stoned with people, which it would probably make it, I don't know, more fun. But that kind of, I think, adds to what feels like shame about it, because it's the stereotype about drinking alone, and that must be very, pathetic. I tried it at a party with a friend and it didn't take. And then she and I had a sleepover, and somebody had given us some pot, and we smoked it from a can in the alley, and we got high together for the first time. And it was just really fun to just be giggly together. I think we ate leftover pasta salad from my parents' refrigerator, and it was so good. And we went to bed, and we were talking stoned thoughts about the posters on my wall. And I just really like the way it made me feel. I like that release. I don't know when it became something that I realized actually made me productive. Maybe it was when I started realizing the difference between strains, that some strains make you sleepy and, do nothing, but others can make you productive. And I've read about this like on Reddit and things like that, that it helps me focus in a weird way. I don't know if it's like putting up a strange little block, sort of to be like, okay, now that I'm stoned, let's tackle this email. Like, let's put on, this is so cheesy, but I'll put on the classical music station, like on my speakers, or some album, and I'll be stoned and listen to an album and do some work. And it's hard to think about your kid growing up to be the age or having the mindset where they would like want to get high, or that they would have friends who have pot. And although that's just like a part of life, but it's just like any kind of loss of innocence is part of it. I guess because I have snuck around with it so much and I've taken risks. I've taken silly risks, to get stoned and then maybe several hours later go driving. Like maybe you don't want to really do that, like, because you could really mess up your life, that kind of thing. But I think there's a lot of situations that parents in general are definitely like, don't do as I do when it comes to their kids. I started taking antidepressants after my second child was born. I like the antidepressants for like clearing away the darkest corners, not clearing away, brightening, lightening a little bit. And weed, I'm like, I wonder if I don't know if I have ADHD. I feel like it's very trendy right now to be a middle-aged woman who's like, I have ADHD. But I've talked to my kids about having a busy brain, and I wonder if that's part of what speaks to me. You know what I mean? Like forces me to enjoy a moment, like get really into a song, or have a really great orgasm. I've had some really great jogs while I was stoned, like beautiful morning runs where there was like frost on the grass as the sun was rising, and it was like just cold enough but not too cold. Or getting high and swimming in the winter at the gym next door to mine, and it had a skylight, and like just like watching a winter sky while doing the backstroke in a indoor pool in the morning. Like that was just kind of nice, listening to music on the bus ride to work and like looking at people, like just moments like that just stick in my memory that are really pleasant memories. And again, I have plenty of non-stone memories too that are great, but there's like a part of your life like that just kind of like have a little warm to them. Something others have you might have a drink in your hand or something like that as well. I think I'm always like have that in the back of my mind, right? Like where I'm going to burn the house down or get into a car accident, or I don't know what other kind of pot really. My friend joked once that I think it was the first time I got high after I had my child. I was kind of like worried about the wisdom of getting stoned while there was like a baby sleeping in a crib. And she's like, well, it's not like you're going to put him in the oven, which made me laugh. I know I'm not alone. And I think we are always thinking about that. Like there's that drug commercial where the people are driving like at a drive-through, I believe, and they're stoned and they had a kid. Like, so I think there's always like that moment lurking in the back of your mind, basically. I'm getting better about taking breaks from it and getting better about understanding my dependency on it, but then often somebody will offer me some. That's, I think, more what the entree is now, and I haven't gotten to the place yet where I say, like, no thanks, never again. Like, I haven't gotten to that place. Like, I don't aspire to a life without weed, but I do aspire to, like, finish it and then be like, okay, I need a few weeks without it, So I do feel bad. Like there were times when I'll finish a stash and I'm like, okay, I'm done for a little bit. And then I find myself going to the dispensary again, like that day or the next day. I wish my use of it was so light that my brain didn't make me want to go get some more, I've been learning more about addiction over the last couple of years for various reasons, like as part of in my work life and I think my personal life. But it's made me feel better to know that I'm far from the only person who has this kind of conflicted relationship with pot. 'Cause you feel ashamed because it's such a lightweight thing, right? And people always like to say that you don't develop a dependency on it. You could feel lame about it, And so it just frankly helps to know that it's not just like you are just, have bad willpower or whatever. So that's been helpful.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. If Megan's story spoke to you, definitely share it with a friend. And if you think more people should know about this show, more than just your friends, please rate us or leave a written review on your favorite listening platform. I want to let you know, actually, that this fall, we will be hosting our first ever online retreat. The event will be hosted by me and 3 outstanding women who will be guiding us through various types of meditation, breathwork, and prayer. If you're currently a member or you become a member of the show before September 1st of this year, 2022, you will get a free ticket. We hope you join us soon. The links for everything I just mentioned are in the show notes. This podcast is produced by me, Jamie Younger, and my husband, Pete Herkmans. Thanks so much for listening to If You Knew Me. We'll be back with you next week.